Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Paribrajakachaja Stotara Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Bhagavad Gita class, chapter 7, verse 30. Sadi Bhutadi Daivam Mam Sadi Yajnam Chaye Vidu Prayana Kale Pichamam Te Vidu Yukta Cheta Saha Sadi Bhutadi Daivam Mam Sadi Yajnam Chaye Vidu Antakale Pichamam Te Vidur Yukta Cheta Saha Sadi Bhutadi Daivam Mam Sadi Yajnam Chaye Vidu Prayana Kale Pichamam Te Vidu Yukta Cheta Saha Sadi Bhutadi Daivam Mam Sadi Yajnam Chaye Vidu Prayana Kale Pichamam Te Vidu Yukta Cheta Saha Sadi Bhutadi Daivam Mam Sadi Yajnam Chaye Vidu prayana kale te pimam te vidur yukta chetasaha sahadibhuta. The governing principle of material manifestations. Adidaivam, underlying all the demigods. Mam, me. Sadhyagnyam, sustaining all sacrifices. Cha, and, ye, those. Viduhu, no. Prayana, of death. Kale, at the time. Api, even. Cha, and. Mam, me. Te, they. Viduhu, no. Yukta chetasaha, with steadfast mind. Translation and purport of Srila Prabhupada. Those who know me as the Supreme Lord, the governing principle of the material manifestation, who know me as the one underlying all the demigods, and as this one sustaining all sacrifices, can, with a steadfast mind, understand and know me even at the time of death. Purport. Persons acting in Krishna consciousness are never entirely deviated from the path of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the transcendental association of Krishna consciousness, one can understand how the Supreme Lord is the governing principle of the material manifestation and even of the demigods. Gradually, by such transcendental association, one becomes convinced of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And at that time of death, such a Krishna-conscious person can never forget Krishna. Naturally is thus promoted to the planets of the Supreme Lord, Goloka Vrindavana. This 7th chapter particularly explains how one becomes a fully Krishna-conscious person. The beginning of Krishna consciousness is association of persons who are Krishna conscious. Such association is spiritual and puts one directly in touch with the Supreme Lord. And by His grace, one can understand Krishna to be the Supreme. At the same time, one can really understand the constitutional position of the living entity and how the living entity forgets Krishna and becomes entangled in material activities. By gradual development of Krishna consciousness in good association, the living entity can understand the due to forgetfulness of Krishna. He has become conditioned by the laws of material nature. He can also understand that this human form of life is an opportunity to regain Krishna consciousness and that it should be fully utilized to attain the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord. Many subjects have been discussed in this chapter. The man in distress, the inquisitive man, the man in want of material necessities, knowledge of Brahman, knowledge of Paramatma, liberation from birth, death, and disease, and worship of the Supreme Lord. However, he who is actually elevated in Krishna consciousness does not care for the different processes. He simply directly engages himself in activities of Krishna consciousness and thereby factually attains his constitutional position as eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, as eternal servitor of Lord Krishna. In such a situation, he takes pleasure in hearing and glorifying the Supreme Lord in pure devotional service. He is convinced that by doing so, all his objectives will be fulfilled. This determined faith is called Dhrida Brata, and it is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service. That is a verdict of all scriptures. This 7th chapter of the Gita is the substance of that conviction. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita in the matter of knowledge of the Absolute. Sadibhutadidaivam mam sadiyajnam shaye vidu prayana kalepi chamam te vidu yukta chetasaha. So, welcome to the Gita class. We now just finished the last verse of the 7th chapter. Next Wednesday we will carry on to the 8th chapter. 9th chapter I've already done at the temple. The 7th chapter is very important because it contains many verses that help us to understand our relationship with Krishna. Factually, there is nothing but Krishna, whether directly Krishna himself or indirectly through his different energy. Krishna says, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. That I am everywhere throughout the universe, throughout the creation, by my avyakta murtina. Murti means form, and avyakta means non-manifest or impersonal, indirect. Just like in the kingdom, you feel the power of the king throughout his kingdom. He may not be personally present in every government department. He may not be personally present in every government institution, but his power is present everywhere. The difference between a material king and God is that God, not only is he present everywhere, he's also conscious of what's going on everywhere. Krishna says in the Gita that real knowledge is to understand the difference between the body and the soul. He says of himself, Kshetra Gyan Chapi Mam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. That my dear Arjuna was inquiring from Krishna to solve his problems of life. Just like we face problems in life, so we can inquire from Krishna by following the footsteps of Arjuna. So Krishna tells Arjuna that I am present in everybody's body. Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Kshetragyam, one who knows the body. Chapi, mam, me, vidi, you should know. Sarva Kshetreshu Bharatam. I am present in the body of everyone. I know everybody's body. And the real knowledge is Kshetra Kshetragyayo Gyanam Yat Tach Gyanam Matir Mama. That my opinion is the real knowledge is to understand the difference between the body and the soul. Everything else is simply illusion. Don't get carried away by the illusion of the material world. There is no other knowledge. There is no yoga, there is no yajna, there is no jnana, there is no material facility, there is no heavenly planets, there is no liberation, there is nothing except knowledge of the Spirit in relationship with Krishna. If that knowledge of the Spirit in relationship with Krishna is not present, all other knowledge, all other situations, all other existences become useless. It is just like the one in front of so many zeros. The zeros count for nothing. But the one makes a zero a 10, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000, so on. That one is Krishna. It is just like a train. The train is useless without the engine. The engine of the train does the job of bringing the train to its destination. Now, we may be in different compartments of the train, and we may be enjoying the trip or not enjoying the trip. We may have good company or bad company. We may be eating or sleeping or reading, but the fact remains that all these activities, without the engine, become useless. Suppose you're sitting in a train, especially in India. When I used to live there, I traveled everywhere by train. We never used to fly anywhere. That was too expensive. Only in a most dire emergency would we take a flight. Normally we would go by train. I remember I would go from Calcutta to Madras, and it would take one complete night and half a day. So during that night and day, you sit in the compartment, you read, you bring some prasadam with you, you eat, you sleep a little bit, you talk to your fellow travelers, and in this way time goes by. and the train is moving. But suppose the train stops, suppose the engine stops, and immediately people become inquisitive. Why is it stopped? When are we moving again? What is the situation? What is the delay? Everybody becomes upset. So in the same way, in the material world, we're trying to enjoy material life. But if you're actually conscious, you can understand that without Krishna, there is only anxiety. Without Krishna, there is only problems. Therefore, one who is Krishna conscious, he is always looking for Krishna. He is not so much interested in the different processes of religion. He is interested in relating with Krishna. Now, Krishna, what is important about the name of Krishna? The importance about the name of Krishna is that it defines a particular personality. The other names of God, like Ishvara, Allah, Jehovah, Buddha, they are indicating a position. Allah means the greatest. Buddha means the most knowledgeable. Jehovah means the Father. God means the controller. But who is this controller? Who is this Father? Who is this greatest of all? What is his name? What is his personality? What does he like? What doesn't he like? What is he like? How can you have a personal relationship with him? You cannot have a personal relationship with a position. You cannot come to America and say, I'm going to have a relationship with the president without meeting the president in person. And the president can be different persons at different times. If you go to America now, the current president is Mr. Trump. And he has a particular personality. He has a particular way of dealing. So in the same way, the position of God is understood in all religions, but only in Krishna consciousness do you actually understand the personality of God. What he likes, what he doesn't like, what he does. Therefore, it is called Krishna Katha. Katha means activities of Krishna, but the real meaning of Katha in Sanskrit is how it is done. How is Krishna God? How is Krishna the Supreme Father? How is Krishna the Supreme Controller? How by his activities, his Katha. So Krishna Katha is very important for the devotee because it is the basis upon which the devotee relates to the Supreme Lord. And to make sure that we understand this, again and again in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am the holder of that position, the position of God. That is me. I am the one who is occupying that position. Aham, he uses the word aham, and it is Krishna speaking. Aham means me, personal, first personal pronoun. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha matta sarvam pravartate. Krishna says, everything is coming from me. Everything is emanated by me. I control everything. Iti matto bhajante mam buddha bhava samamvitaha. Those who understand this worship me in great intelligence, and they become free from repeated birth and death. The whole key, the reason why we want to become Krishna conscious, the whole reason why we need to have a loving relationship with Krishna, a friendly relationship with Krishna, we need this friendship even if we are just worshiping Krishna as the Supreme. Even if we accept him as the Lord and we are the servants, some friendship, some loving exchange is there. That he is my master, he's taking care of me, I'm grateful, I'm so happy to be in his presence. There is a person behind that mastership. So the reason we want to develop this closeness, this relationship is that if we actually understand Krishna, nothing else can take its place. It's just like when you love someone, nobody can take that love away from you. Nobody can replace that love. So once you have the little bit of love of Krishna, whenever there is anything going on, you always remember Krishna. And especially if there is some difficulty, if there is some perplexion, immediately we go to Krishna. It is said that a devotee may sometimes forget about Krishna. He is busy and doing so many things. But if he gets into trouble, he remembers Krishna very, very fast. Like Arjuna. Arjuna was close with Krishna throughout his life. They met as young men. They were intimate friends. apart from the fact that Arjuna is an eternal associate of Krishna, in the Bhoma Lila, in the pastimes that Krishna and Arjuna manifested in the material world, they were friends. But when Arjuna was in trouble, he would very quickly remember Krishna. And when it came to the crunch, when it came to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when he saw that he had to break his many attachment to family and friends, then he was unable to do so. Don't underestimate the power of the material energy to keep you entrapped in the material world. Therefore, it is suggested that you keep Krishna very close to you and try to become unattached to material things. Even if you are a family man, even if you are a father or a mother and you have children, always try to see the connection between your close relatives and Krishna. Try and see Krishna everywhere. Because if you see Krishna everywhere, then you will never be lost from Krishna. And when there is some difficulty, and the greatest difficulty is when you die, when we come to the moment of death. And when you come to the moment of death, if you remember Krishna, you will continue your spiritual life. You will remain with Krishna. And when you're remaining with Krishna, you are no longer in the material world. You may be in a material body, but if you're perfectly Krishna conscious, this material body will act spiritually. Just like the iron, which has been made red hot into the fire, no longer will act like iron, it will act like fire. If you take red hot iron and you touch something, it will burn. The material body, the material senses, if they are connected with Krishna, then they become spiritualized. You lose your taste for something which is not connected with Krishna, because the taste of something connected with Krishna is very sweet. Just like Krishna Prasad. You can eat food and it may taste nicely, but every devotee will swear, every devotee will testify that the same food, when it is first offered to Krishna, and then we eat it as his mercy, as his prasadam, it tastes unlimitedly nicer, unlimitedly sweeter. And that's not just food. Anything you do for the pleasure of Krishna comes back to you 1,000 times enhanced in enjoyment. So when you see everything connected with Krishna, and you try to help everything to become connected with Krishna, then we become happy. Then, because we are seeing things as they are, as I was explaining on Wednesday, we have a choice. Like Arjuna was given the choice by Krishna. You can, during the battle, you can have my army or you can have me. So Arjuna chose the army. Even though Krishna says, I will not fight, I will not lift a weapon. Arjuna was happy to get Krishna, and his enemy Duryodhana, who was not Krishna conscious, who didn't believe in Krishna, who didn't have the sweet rasa with Krishna, he was happy to get Krishna's army. Now, if you look at the material manifestation in which we live, the soul material universe, all the universes are Krishna's energy. Just like in Dwarka, the army of Krishna was Krishna's energy. But Arjuna was very intelligent. And he said to Krishna, my dear Krishna, what is the use of me having your army? What is the use of your army without you? So then, to transpose this concept to our material living, what is the use of the material energy without Krishna? The material energy belongs to Krishna. If we try to use the material energy without Krishna, we'll only run into problems, because she is Krishna's energy. She is responsible to Krishna. She is faithful and eager to serve Krishna. And if we take the material energy in which we live and we use it for the pleasure of Krishna, then that material energy will become our friend instead of our enemy. So, and therefore Krishna again and again, he says in the Gita that it is coming from me. I am the controller. Everything is mine. It may be direct or indirect, but there is nothing except Krishna. That is a fact. So Matta parataram nanyat. Krishna says, nothing is equal to me. Kinchid asti. Not one thing. My sarvam idam protan sutremani ganaiva. Just like the pearl string, it is all the pearls are strung and they're depending on the string. If the string breaks, the pearls fall away. So Krishna says the whole universe, it is hanging on my thread. Sutremani. Sutra means thread. And mani means pearls. Gana Eva, just like the pearls are strung on a string, the entire material universe is connected with me. This is enlightenment. This is liberation. Liberation doesn't mean you get 4 arms or a pair of wings or that you can fly in the sky. No, liberation means that you understand that everything is connected with Krishna. And once you understand that, once Krishna blesses you and manifests himself throughout his energy, you become free from entanglement. You may be in the material world, that's a fact. But if you're a devotee of Krishna, you're not living in a material world, you're living in Vaikuntha, you're living in Vrindavan. Just like the governor, he may go to the prison house for some business, but he doesn't become a prisoner. Just because he's within the prison house, he's still treated as the governor. The prison house does not affect him. The laws of the prison do not apply to him. He's the governor. He's beyond the prison. In the same way, when we come into the material universe as devotees of Krishna, when we fix up our relationship with Krishna, we become free from the material energy. We get pardoned from our material misdeeds, and we become empowered to overcome the contamination of material life. So, Krishna says that I was talking about the importance of remembering Krishna at the moment of death. Now, in this material body which we have now, this material body is the result of a previous conditioning. And by connecting this material body with Krishna, we become free gradually from the material conditioning. Gradually, step by step, as explained by Srila Prabhupada in this purport, step by step, we will actually regain our remembrance of Krishna, which is already there. Even in the Upanishad, there is a prayer, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya apitam mukam tetwantwan apavrinu satya dharmaya drishyate. That Hiranmaya patra, or the curtain of light which blocks the face of Krishna, can be removed by his mercy. Unless Krishna agrees to be seen, unless Krishna agrees to be worshipped, it is not possible to enter into a relationship with him. There is only one way, bhakti. Bhakti amam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. Krishna said that only by bhakti one can know me in truth. Why is that? Because bhakti is a process of loving exchange. And loving exchange, or being favorable and loving towards someone, attracts that person's attention, even on a material plane. Even the animals, if you watch the animals, if you see some of the documentaries on nature, how the animals are the male and female, how they exchange loving affection with each other, how they dance, how they perform different rituals. So in the same way, in the material world, we perform so many rituals to become attached to others, to attract others' attention. We see something that is beautiful, we see someone which is beautiful, attractive, so we go out of our way to be favorable to that person. We bring a gift, we seek the association, we support, we speak nicely. In the same way, we can also attract Krishna by acting favorably towards him. There are 6 activities which increase the potency of bhakti, the potency of devotion in relationship with Krishna. One is called dadati. Dadati means you give. So when you go to the shop to buy your groceries, you think, what can I cook for Krishna? Oh, let me buy this a nice fruit. Let me get some nice fruit. Let me get some nice vegetables. And let me prepare it for Krishna. That is called dadati. Then pratigrinati, you accept whatever Krishna gives you in return, in the form of prasad, in the form of mercy, in the form of the Bhagavad Gita, in the form of the association of devotees, in the form of knowledge. This is called pratigrinati. Akyati prichati. We exchange loving sentiments by intimately asking Krishna for advice. We all have our doubts, we all have our insecurities, we all have our desires to fulfill, but let us do all this fulfillment of desire, this need to become free from doubt. Let us take Krishna's advice. Let us put Krishna in our center of the life, then he will solve everything. Because he knows what is going on within our heart, even before we know. We should become just like little children in relationship with Krishna. Just like the tiger, when she takes care of her cubs, she picks them up in her mouth and she moves them here and there. When the tiger cub is within the ferocious mouth of his mother, he doesn't feel any danger. On the contrary, he feels very secure and very safe because he knows that his mother loves him. But if I'm in the clutches of the tiger, that's a different story altogether. So in the same way, let us not get involved in the clutches of illusion of the material world. Let us take shelter of Krishna, let him protect us. He knows what we need before we even need it. We don't have to ask. Therefore, Mahaprabhu prays, Na dhanam, na janam da sundarim. I don't want any money. I don't want any followers. I don't want any beautiful relationships. Jnanam, I don't want any knowledge. So what do you want? Jammani jammani shware bhavatad bhaktir ahituki twayi. My dear Supreme Lord, my dear Krishna, my dear Supreme Controller, give me birth after birth pure devotional service at the lotus feet. This is the conclusion of the 7th chapter. Now, I see we have many comments here from Rita, Kamaraslinga, Hare Krishna, Admavidya Prabhu. Gautamala, Anna Maria is here, Goranga Madhuri, Devananda Dubey, Rob, Hare Krishna, thank you for participating in the class. Anna Maria Munchada has a question. Being death something natural, how is it that most of the people are scared of it? Death is natural for the body. Death is not natural for me, for the soul. I am scared of death to the extent that I am attached to my body. The more I'm attached to my body, the more I'm scared of losing it. Makes sense. And the less I'm attached to the body, the more I understand that I am spirit and the body is only a temporary manifestation, then the less afraid I will be of death. The other reason people are afraid of death is because of the unknown. If you are not Krishna conscious, you don't know where you will go next life. Krishna says that Antakale chamameva smaram muktva kalevaram ya prayati samad bhavam yati nasti atra samsaya. That at the end of this life, Antakale, Anta means at the end, and Kale means at the time of the death, if you can remember me, then that remembrance will give you the faith that you will go to a good place after you die. Or you will go to a place where Krishna's protection continually is manifested for you, for your benefit. So in other words, the more we are Krishna conscious, the more death becomes meaningless. Because once you're Krishna conscious, then it doesn't matter whether you live or die. You're Krishna conscious. It's like, as I said, the governor of the state, whether he's visiting the prison or whether he's not, he's always the governor. And we are scared of death, as I said, because of attachment. It's just like a thief. If somebody is a professional thief, he's always afraid because he knows that what he has taken is not his property and somebody may find out, and then he will be charged and he will be imprisoned, he will be punished. In the same way, if we separate Krishna's energy from Krishna, if we take Krishna's energy, the material energy, and use it for our pleasure, then we will always be afraid because we are actually thieves. We are taking what is not our property. Therefore, Krishna says, you can use my property, you can use the material energy, but under certain rules. For example, you can eat, but you have to offer it to me. You have to acknowledge that I am supplying you this food. Krishna will supply you everything you need, whether you acknowledge Krishna or not. After all, the moonlight, it shines also on the house of a crook, as well as on the house of a good man. It doesn't distinguish. So similarly, Krishna will supply whatever we need. But if we don't use Krishna's property according to the instructions of Krishna, that attachment will cause fear. And we will be afraid because we will not know where we will go. And we will also know that the time of reckoning will come at the moment of death. People may say, I don't believe in God. There is no God. I'm God. But at the moment of death, nobody can help you. Not you, not your relatives, not your knowledge. The only person who can help you at the moment of death is Krishna. Yam yam va smaram bhavam, Krishna says. Tyajate ante kalevaram. Ante kalevaram. Tyajate means to give up. Ante, at the end, kalevaram, the body. When you give up your body, yam yam vapi smaram bhavam. If you remember me, Krishna says, tam tam evahiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavita. If you remember me, you come to me. This is the whole instructions of the Gita. It is so simple. It is so simple, and at the same time it's so difficult because we are stubborn, because we are attached to the body and the byproducts of the body. We are attracted by the material energy. Even we go to church, we go to temple with the idea of enjoying more and more material life. That is called ahankara, ego. But this ahankara can be exchanged into Krishnakara, into instead of believing in myself, believing in Krishna, and understanding that I am dependent upon Krishna at every step of my life. Good. Thank you very much. And we will carry on next Wednesday. I see that Sabina Siemens has also joined. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much for participating. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol.